In this lesson, we'll discuss adding mechanical equipment to your piping system. Before you actually start laying out your piping system or creating a piping system, the first thing you may want to do is add your mechanical equipment. So if we look at the model that I have on my screen right now, the items in yellow are the mechanical equipment for your piping and also for your HVAC systems. For example, everything in blue is an HVAC system. It's connected to the mechanical equipment in yellow. The green lines you see on your actual screen are the hydronic piping systems. Those are also connected to the actual mechanical equipment in yellow. So the mechanical equipment here supplies and works with both the actual piping system and the HVAC system. So the first thing you want to do is actually place these components in. Now what we'll do in this example is we'll place two of these yellow components. I can mouse over one of these pieces of the mechanical equipment, pause, and a tooltip will tell me what type of mechanical equipment it is. So basically, I could see here, it's an actual basic heat supply element providing airflow and hydronic water flow to your system. So let's go ahead and place one of these. To do this, let's go to the Systems tab on the ribbon, click Mechanical Equipment in the Mechanical panel. What will open next is the Properties drop-down on the very left, asking you to pick which actual mechanical component you want to place. Well, the one that we just clicked on and we see in yellow on our screen is already highlighted. Basically, it's the horizontal high efficiency 7 to 18 kilowatt left return right discharge unit. And we're going to choose the 11 kilowatt unit. One thing to note before we get started, let's look at the constraint area. Right now, the constraint is based on level 1. Anything I'm placing now from a mechanical standpoint has to be constrained to something. It could be a floor level, it could be a ceiling, it could be a wall, or it could be another system. It could be bound to something, or technically it may not be. But in this case, it is. The other thing to make note of is the offset. So if I'm placing this unit on level 1, I don't want it to sit on the floor, unless, of course, that's what your design dictated. What I would like this to do is be above the floor. Now, if you're using millimeters, about 2,800 millimeters. If I'm using feet, roughly about 9 feet. So the other thing outside of the actual constraints that I may want to note is the rotation after placement. And you can easily rotate this using the rotate tool on the modify bar afterward, or I could check mark rotate after placement on the options panel or options bar right now. Go ahead and select that. Now with that selected, with my level set and my offset value set, I can now move into my model and actually place these actual system elements. So when you click, you'll actually place it. The next thing it's going to prompt you to do is rotate it. So I'm just going to go ahead and left click. And now what I can see is I have the full capability to rotate this actual piece of mechanical equipment. So I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees. Click again. And now I can place another element. So I'm going to move my mouse to the right and place another element over to the right, and I can make it in line with the current one, or I can align it a little later. It's going to go ahead and place another one, and again, rotate this one 90 degrees. When I'm done placing these elements, simply click the Modify button on your ribbon. Now let's zoom in around one of these mechanical elements. And when you zoom in, you'll see actually little protrusions sticking out. Go ahead and click on the boundary or the outside edge of this mechanical equipment. What you actually see are little dots, or in this case, little pins to allow you to drag or connect various types of system elements. For example, in a previous lesson, we connected our HVAC ductwork. So you can see you have the ability to connect ductwork lines or systems into these actual ports or outlets or connectors. You also have the ability to connect your plumbing lines, and I see one here on the very right, which is an out, giving me a 20 millimeter diameter or dimension. You also have ones on the left, where you can actually create systems coming out. There's also the electrical, which we'll cover in another lesson. To deselect this, just click in the background anywhere to deselect the element. Now you may ask, well, why are things yellow, blue, green, magenta, different colors? That has to do with the graphic override within this view. So if you don't have anything selected right now, and the Properties area over on the left reads Floor Plan, click Visibility Graphics and Edit. This will open up the visibility graphics. Right now, I can see on my model tab, I have an override applied for yellow for any mechanical equipment. That's why my mechanical equipment shows in yellow. If you go to Filters, the very last tab, you can actually see that I have colors predefined, in this case, for my mechanical supply and return and other systems to display within my actual Revit model. You can go through and actually update or change any of these elements, overriding the default value for that actual view. Now, right now, those were mechanical. If I look at my filter list, I could turn on piping, and I could see all of my piping elements and all of the overrides for piping. Here I see the pipe fittings, and pipes are green for lines. So that's what dictates the green color for my lines within my piping. Go ahead and click OK. So in this lesson, what we looked at was how to add mechanical equipment to our actual Revit model. We talked about before we start creating a piping system, let's first create the mechanical equipment for which our pipes will run from element to element or mechanical equipment to mechanical equipment. We then looked at why certain elements are certain colors: yellow, blue, green. We looked at the visibility graphics of this actual view and looked at the overrides applied to these different elements and components, dictating why they were yellow, blue, or green.